Hey, Exotical Barbie dolls. So today I want to talk about the jealousy against Creoles. I've been thinking about this for a long time. You guys know that I study the different mixes, whether it's Blasians, whether it's Black and Indian people, etc. And the thing that I've noticed about Creoles in particular is there is this internalized jealousy against them. I think number one, it's due to the history of the Creole people. A lot of people tend to stereotype Creoles as being colorists and being the creators of the Blue Vein Society and paper bag test, etc. And another thing that I've noticed is that people who are unambiguous, Black people, they tend to get mad at Creoles because they feel like, how dare you claim your Creole heritage while being Black adjacent, meaning that like maybe you have the same African American vernacular English accent, maybe you grew up eating very similar foods to African Americans, maybe you even grew up in the same neighborhoods or you grew up in the South with a lot of African Americans, but then you get to claim Creole to kind of clout chase off of the mixed race heritage that Creoles have, which is based in colorism. I noticed that that's the main argument that a lot of unambiguous people like to use against Creoles. But then they will turn around and listen to Beyonce's music above Kelly Rowland. So this is my issue, and this is the hypocrisy that I see when it comes to Creoles. And actually, I recently got an email about this from one of my subscribers. Shout out to you, girl. But the argument against Creoles seems to be that if you are pro-Black as a Creole, then it seems like you get a pass or something. Or if you're some sort of light-skinned savior, that sort of archetype, kind of like a Beyonce type, then somehow it's okay. But then if you are a Creole who proudly claims being Creole and who talks about being Creole and like reps Creole as opposed to constantly talking about being African American, then suddenly it's a problem. And it's funny because even Miss Beyonce herself, back in the early 2000s, made a song about her Creole heritage, and that song got so much backlash to the point where Beyonce totally changed her tune and started to sing songs about brown-skinned girls, which, by the way, in her music video, if you didn't notice, brown-skinned girl meant dark-skinned girl. Because if you actually look at her music video and who she used as examples of brown-skinned girls, they were all dark-skinned women. And then she had all of the quote-unquote light skins sitting on a balcony type of porch thing. And then people got mad at Beyonce even for that. And they said, oh, she had them all sitting on the biracial balcony, like saying that all the women were either biracial or they looked biracial, when in reality they were all light-skinned. But then today, you've got people arguing about some of the women who were featured in that video on the quote-unquote light-skinned side, and now people want to gaslight those women and say they are not light-skinned. So, I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but when it comes to Creoles in particular, a lot of people want to force Creoles into being unambiguous Black people very badly, just like how a lot of people want to force darker-skinned Exoticals into being completely unambiguous Black women and nothing else. So once again, you've got people fighting over your identity, arguing over your identity, clout chasing off of your identity, throwing you in and out of Blackness, claiming that you are somehow anti-Black if you don't represent their phenotype above your own. Why did Beyonce go from first talking about her Creole heritage and talking about her skin tone and stuff like that to suddenly having to create pandering albums to dark-skinned women? We are tired of being the emotional punching bag of the African community. Just because you have experienced traumas as an unambiguous monoracial Black person, it doesn't mean that you have to then make anybody who's not unambiguous into your emotional punching bag. I've noticed that that is a pattern that a lot of women who have trauma, a lot of women with PTSD, they will make any woman lighter than them or any woman more ambiguous than them, they'll make that woman her emotional punching bag. And when I say emotional punching bag, I mean you get the brunt of the jokes, you get all of the insults, you get told that you're not that light skinned, you get told that Creoles are just Black or Creoles are colorists, so why would you want to embrace that heritage? Well, first of all, yes, I think that every culture, no matter what culture it is, Creole or otherwise, has flaws in it. So we already know that to be true. But that's like telling a person who's half white, oh, well, white people are racist, so why do you embrace your whiteness? Well, if you were born that way and you can't help how you were born and your parent is of another race, what are you supposed to do? Hate yourself because some random ancestors from thousands of years ago made mistakes? Let's talk about how Africans sold other Africans into slavery. I don't see you keeping that same energy with Africans or with yourself being an unambiguous black person. I don't see you telling other black people you should hate yourself because your own people sold other versions of your own people into slavery in America. I don't see you keeping that same energy. So there's all this situational hypocrisy that I see based on your racial mix, based on your skin tone. And once again, I see lots of policing of the Creole identity because if you look at Beyonce, she's Creole and she kind of fits the stereotype of what you would expect a Creole to be. And when you look at someone who has significant admixture and they also have a Creole background, someone like Meg Thee Stallion, someone darker, or I've personally seen Creoles who look kind of like Chili from TLC, suddenly you give them that dark skin exotical hypocrisy where it's, oh, you're too dark to be mixed. So once again, you're still being thrown in and out of the black community. You have people arguing back and forth about your skin tone, arguing back and forth about whether or not you look mixed. And also, one of the subscribers brought this up. Have you ever noticed how nowadays a lot of people, they want caramel skin, they want caramel light skins to be dark skin so bad? And it's because a lot of people envy the caramel skin tone. And, that's one of the most desirable phenotypes, obviously, in their mind, because they're trying so hard to make it like, oh, well, all of us look like Chloe and Halle Bailey. All of us look like this. All of us are caramel. No, you're not. The test results came back and you're not. And that's okay. It's okay to embrace whatever complexion you have or whatever. And also, can we talk about how, for example, a lot of people get mad at Creoles because they said that the Creoles were only marrying other Creoles so that they can keep that phenotype, kind of that mixed race phenotype. But I guess my issue is, who cares? I mean, if they were racist and doing it based out of racism, obviously that's bad. But if somebody simply wants to marry someone who looks like them, or they simply want to have children that look like them or resemble them, I actually don't see anything wrong with that, regardless of your complexion. Like if a guy were to tell me, oh, I only like dark-skinned unambiguous women or dark-skinned African women, then I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I wouldn't get mad and say, oh, well, you're discriminating against me. No, nobody owes you a romantic relationship. People are not obligated to date you in order to prove that they're not racist or colorist. So why is it that the only people who you want to be obligated to date you are the ones who you put on a pedestal? So you want to accuse white people of being racist if they don't date you. Why? Because you put whiteness on a pedestal. You want to accuse light-skinned people of being racist if they don't date you. Why? Because you put them on a pedestal. You want to accuse Creoles of being racist if they didn't date you. Why? Because you put Creoles on a pedestal. You know why? Because they're mixed. And I'm not trying to defend any bad things that Creoles did back in the day, whether it was being racist or being colorist or whatever. I'm not trying to defend any of that. You guys know that I'm not a colorism supporter or a racism supporter at all. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people feel the need to police our identities, and it's time that we speak up for ourselves. And I will be gradually going through all of the different mixes on this channel and kind of keeping an eye out and keeping watch to see what I've observed. But are you a Creole person? Have you ever had anybody try to automatically accuse you of being colorist or automatically accuse your family of being ignorant? Or have you ever had someone try to approximate you to blackness because the African American community and the Creole community are so intertwined, especially if you're in the South? Have you ever had that happen? Or if you're a Creole, have you ever had people try to say that you don't look like a quote-unquote Creole? Let's say you're not white passing or you have a darker complexion. Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.